Thanks so much, guys, for joining in to Dev Webinar number 7. Today, we're going to be going a little bit over just building web crawlers on the internet, secrets, task configs, and we're going to sort of tie that into the idea that we have the Relation Web Hackathon going on today, and just going to give you some tips and tricks to help you maybe get through that, to help you figure out what you want to do with your idea. So, just real quick, I just want to go over how to get to the EZSandbox again. So you can go to Koii.network. But yeah, so once you have clicked that button, it'll take you to the EZSandbox. Now, something I'm going to recommend is you actually open up 2 tabs. So if you're here, the easiest way to open up a second tab is if you're on GitHub, you can go to the EZSandbox button. You can either middle mouse click, you can right click, open a new tab, or you can copy the address bar, open a tab, and paste it in. No matter what you do, what I recommend is you then hit the period key, the dot key. What that's going to do is it's actually going to open up an online editor right here in the browser. Now, the reason I'm kind of going over these steps right now is because we have the hackathon going on. And I think you're going to find that these are some really useful tools to get you through sort of uh, EZSandbox and then right to building your own task. So just for the people who are coming here from the hackathon and they want to learn a little bit more about how to use these tools and what we're going over, again, EZSandbox is here. Open up the EZSandbox GitHub, make another tab, press dot. That way you come back to this tab. We're going to be doing lesson 3 today. You might want to start at lesson 1, but you can come to this tab and you can actually browse through the prettified readmes, and then you can come back over to this tab and you can actually go through the exercises where in each lesson, there is a folder that contains an after and before. And if you open the after, or you can look at the before now if you want, but if you open the after, within that is the completed task, and the before is an empty version of the task that you can fill in. This is a really easy, interactive way to get your head around what's going on. One more thing I'll show you is if you just go into Google and you type in Koii X task, this is a Koii task that you can clone, you can copy yourself. And this is a Twitter searcher. Now, today's hackathon is in the spirit of collecting data on the internet and sort of turning it into something or giving it to an API or something like that. And it all has to move through a Koii task. And so this is a really nice template that you can use to sort of get yourself going. But you don't have to do that. The task X template is a pretty feature complete template. And sometimes you want something that's a little more generic. You can try our task template. And this is definitely what we recommend everybody start with. We have a development guide, there's a task flow, and of course, I'm always available in the Discord to sort of help you out. But let's come back from this. Take one more step back even. And today's webinar is going to be over lesson 3 in the EZSandbox. Lesson 3 is essentially building your first little crawler, talking about the task config file and going over secrets, just to help build out our knowledge of what all this stuff is. Just in case you missed it, part 1 was about running existing tasks, debugging tasks, how tasks work, and then deploying your first task. Lesson 2 was about file sharing and networking. So node-to-node communication, writing the task, and file storage and sharing. Hopefully you've gone over those ones and you're comfortable with that. If not, we have all of our webinars available online on our YouTube. So definitely feel free to watch them. They're all time stamped and time marked, so you can actually scrub the video to exactly where you need to be. So let's go over secrets and configs. So what are secrets in Koii and how are we using? So let's read the first little bit. So one of the best use cases of Koii tasks is web crawling. And indeed, it's a very common and popular use case. While there are many web pages that allow users to endlessly scroll with ever having an account, most content-based websites only give a small snippet without logging in. So an autonomous web crawler has limited usefulness without the means to log in. Now, of course, we have at Koii, we have our new login helper. Oh, someone's trying to record. Absolutely, go for it. We at Koii have our brand new login helper, and that is going to be available if you just go to Koii Network and you look through our repositories, you can find a login helper right here. This login helper is essentially a task template that has a lot of the work of logging into websites done. So you can basically just log in, and I'm pretty sure Puppeteer is already built into this package. I'm pretty sure Puppeteer, Puppeteer, there it is. Oh, there. Puppeteer is already built into this. So all you have to do is log in, and or sorry, all you have to do is collect your secrets, and this login helper can actually automatically log you in. What are secrets though? I mean, what does that mean? So it's great that we have a login helper. We can log into a website. We can get a bunch of data back. But let's talk a bit more about that. So we have secrets in the node. So secrets are essentially things that the user who's running the node can tell your task, and those secrets never leave the computer. They're always stored safely and locally so that you don't have access to them, the node runner and stuff like that. You can't ever, well, you could, but you shouldn't be exporting these secrets. And of course, if you try to do that maliciously, Koii we have the proper whitelisting processes in place to basically ensure that doesn't happen. But in concept, secrets are a really useful way to get stuff like usernames, passwords, phones, and keywords. All of these things can be used in combination to log in, to help refine what the task is doing, to share data back to the task without necessarily having that data become and on the off chance that that data is sensitive, it can't be uh, exposed to anyone. So that's kind of the big benefit of secrets. We want to keep secrets secret. So despite the fact that you might have in your code, process.end Twitter username, you're not actually getting back my Twitter username. You're just telling the computer the node really to use this secret, and it'll know it, and only it'll know it. If you ever notice, when you're building your task, or when you're deploying a task, launching a task, it has those secrets at the bottom there, and they kind of look like how you're seeing here. But if we swap over to our virtual code space here in GitHub, in the VS Code Explorer, we can go to the simple crawler. Let's go to our after. Let's go to config task.yml. Perfect. So once you're in this config task.yml, you're going to notice that there's actually a lot of stuff here. One of those is task variable. It's a keyword, and it's a keyword to search for. So if we go back here, notice how that keyword is right there? That's what this is. We're looking for a task variable, that's its type. The value is keyword, and we can see that it says keyword right there. And then it says enter the keyword you want to search for example, Apple. We have keyword to search for, but in concept, you get what I'm saying. We can go to our login helper too. We can go to its config task.yml. The login helper actually doesn't have it. So because I guess you'll have to set that up. But let's go to our taskx. Let's go to its config task.yml. And you'll notice right there, boom, task variable, Twitter username, Twitter password, Twitter phone. And where are we using this? Right here. So task ID equals process.env task ID. Now we have an or, and we put in a dummy task ID, or default task ID actually in this case. But you can do tests, right? Tests for test keywords, node directory, webpack file path. This is how you'll be using these things that you set up. We go to process.m dot, let's say, Twitter. Oh, it's a comma. Dot Twitter. You'll see that right here in the set adapter, for example, or in the username password, we're just saying process.env Twitter username, Twitter password. That's how we're getting through to the credentials. We're never exposing that, back to the node. That's never leaving the local computer. As long as your computer isn't compromised, this information is secure, and you'll be perfectly safe. And of course, if your computer is compromised, then we always recommend a factory reset. Now that I mean, what we're going to go over and this next bit is essentially what I just showed you. But I just want to really quickly go over task type, value, and description. The type is task variable. You also have different types that you can ask for, right? 5 GB of storage, 5 GB of RAM, 4 cores on the CPU. Koii will attempt to efficiently manage these resources. So if someone only has, let's say, 12 GB of RAM and they're running 5 tasks that each ask for 5 GB, their system won't implode. There will be some sort of intelligent memory management there. What might happen is that those users won't be able to properly submit your task and stuff like that, sometimes, depending on the nature of your tasks. So just keep that in mind too. Great. So yeah, type, task variable, value, whatever value you're looking for. Description, just give a description, the username of your volunteer Twitter account, for example. And we can use these variables to log in. And I'll go over it one more time. You can find it in the task YAML. Go back to our X task. If you go to the task X, you can find that in the Koii Network GitHub. You can go right to config task YML. I might have been saying YAML. It's YML. I'm sorry about that. And once you're in here, boom, you can see exactly where we put these requirement tags and all the other types of tags too. You might notice that actually I'm noticing right now that the task X task doesn't have the most up-to-date config YML. So this doesn't have some of the features that you would need to submit to today's hackathon. If you're missing that, just let me know, and we can get you the proper updated sort of YML, and it should actually work seamlessly with the rest of the task. I'm also noticing that the login helper doesn't have it. We'll try and get that updated today, but I'm pretty sure the task template does. You go to Koii task template, easiest way to find it. Yeah, we do have the most recent. Yeah, so the task template does have the most recent, which is probably the most important. Again, if you want to grab that and copy it over, it should be seamless integration. At the same time, we can help you integrate the two. Right on. Task template does have the most up-to-date YML so that you can get your KPL token live. Again, if you take the task X template and you want to use that because you want to crawl Twitter, for example, or you want to crawl something very, very similar to Twitter, or you're using the login helper, the CLI should still be compatible as long as you either add in these 2 lines or just copy the entire YML from the task template and pop it over. Again, I'll try and get this updated as soon as I can. So if it is updated on your end, congratulations, you are in a better future. Okay, great. Let's look at part 2 of lesson 3. So this is where in this lesson, we actually get this really close-up look at the config task.yml. So I'm going to take the time here to go through that as well. This config task.yml is not the most updated one. So that is something that we will update very soon. I will ensure So we're looking over that. Perfect. Just wanted to note that down that I'm going to have to update all these for you guys. But in concept, we can still go over everything. We'll use the task template to do it. So you have your task name, which is your task name. You want to give yourself as the author or your company, the description that you might want to have, your your GitHub repo. That's going to be a requirement if you want to submit to the hackathon, for example. But in theory, you could put your main website link here if you didn't want to put GitHub, or your docs link or something like that. Image URL, you can uh, I mean, you just want to grab an image URL. So however you're hosting or wherever it is being hosted, I don't know if you can just pop in, like, I don't know if you can package a static image alongside your stuff, but let me double check that. Let's open up VS Code on my end, and we'll go to recent, just go to Koii, which is currently being tested. Let's go to my own config one. Oh, ah, okay. Actually, a really easy way to get this image URL, because you can't actually serve static files right now without some Webpack configuration, which is sort of an advanced feature. What you can do is you can take the when you upload your repository to GitHub, um, make sure that you upload that static file in the repo. Now, it won't get Webpacked, but you can go to your repo, you can grab the link to that image, GitHub will be hosting it for you, and you can paste that in there. Info URL, again, that can be your website, it can be anything, like, it can be a contact us page, whatever. Yeah, task executable network. I strongly recommend use IPFS. That's our test network. That's live. Rweave, if you know what you're doing, you can use that. Otherwise, development, if you know what you're doing, you can use that network as well. But I, for the most part, recommend IPFS. Yes, next is the task audit program. This is the path to your executable Webpack if the selected network is IPFS. So in the case of development, name it. Boop, boop. So you can leave this default unless you want to change it. Round time is the duration of your task measured in slots. And a slot is approximately 400 milliseconds, 408 on average at the very least. Audit window, 600, submission window 600. This is again all based off slot time. So 600 slots, 600 slots. Minimum stake amount is the minimum amount that you need to stake to stake into your task. You can adjust that to whatever you want, especially if you're just in testing, you can make this really low. If you're making your own task, all right, I can't actually update this. If you're making your own task, you want to adjust the task type to KPL. And if you're going to use your KPL, you want to make sure that you're using the correct token mint address. And there's an example one for the fire token, but you can use whatever token that you end up minting. And to mint a token, I guess I haven't gone over this, you can go to Koii network /docs/KPL, and it'll teach you exactly how. But essentially, you can go to our Koii token creator. If you're familiar with creating tokens on Solana, it looks very, very similar. Yeah, you can create your token, give it a name, token symbol, description, and then you can mint the token. Choose a JSON wallet file. How much are you going to mint? And the mint address. Awesome. Go back. And if you don't know what any of that means, for sure read the docs. We have a few pages on the matter. If you just type in KPL here, but of course I'm always available in the Discord as well. Total bounty amounts. Again, total bounty pool and the bounty amount per round. I suggest making this very, very small. for testing purposes, and 10 is the minimum bounty amount. You can also make this 0, the bounty amount per round 0, if you're just testing your task, or again, you're just deploying it for the sake of if you're just deploying it for the sake of a hackathon or something, you can make the reward 0 as long as you actually have a minted token. It doesn't actually have to reward that token, especially if that would potentially disrupt your plans for future tokenomics. So yeah, sometimes a 0 bounty is great, but again, maybe a 0.0001 bounty is perfectly fine for your tokenomics. Okay. Allowed failed distributions. Basically, I hope, as you know, that Koii tasks run in three stages. So the submission, audit, distribution. Essentially, you do the work in your submission round, you get audited, and then in distribution, based off whether or not you failed, you will get rewards. So this is just the amount of times you can fail that. In general, we like to slash people pretty hard after 3, but it might be that the nature of your task doesn't, like a failed distribution might just mean that, like, of no fault of your own, maybe you're trying to collect some data from a source and you weren't able to, and that's a very consistent problem with the type of data you're fetching. Maybe you don't want to have such a low amount of failed distributions. Space. It's actually this space in megabytes for account size that holds task data. For testing tasks, it should be set to 0.1, but for production, at least 1. Yeah, we have requirement tags, and we already went over this. Optional variables if you're going to update the task. Optional variables for creating, of course. But if you're updating a task, then you want to put in a migration description and a task ID. Otherwise, something might break or not update correctly. Pretty important to put these in. In general, it won't do anything irreversible, but it could definitely make things a little annoying. I noticed I missed some questions. Very sorry about that. Let's jump back to those for a sec. Okay, I just upgraded and my coins are not visible. You've just updated. So I'm gonna open the coin node. Awesome. So you're saying, let's open up chat again, sorry. I just upgraded my coins and not visible. I had 200 Koii and I'm not seeing it. So you're saying right here in available balance, you had 200 and it's 0, or are you saying in rewards it was 200 and now it's 0? It's possible that you've lost some Koii in a transition. Nick Deal, yours as well. Interesting. Try going to your settings, or there's 2 things we should do, but they're both going to be in settings. First off, make sure you're on version 0.9.0. If you're on version 0.8.12 or 3, that would definitely cause that issue. So make sure you're on the latest version. Go to settings and update node to latest version. It's going to check for updates. Yeah, it's going to check for updates. So make sure you're on version 0.9.0. Next, click this claim button. This might take a minute to actually activate, but click this claim button, and that might actually bring a lot of your tokens back. Again, you should go to your wallet. You can look at your account. You can see how much is in there. You can see what kind of wallets you have. This is USD Koii. And then like a Soma token, which is one of our senior developers here. We can see the staking key. So double check all that. If you can't see that, then you're not on the right version or something's wrong. Yeah, someone wants to speak afterwards. Absolutely. We'll have a Q&A section in just a minute here. Probably about 10, well, maybe even less, maybe about 5 minutes. Just need to go over a little bit more stuff with EZSandbox. But I do want to get to these questions before I do. 200 Koii. Okay, yeah. So if it was Koii that was lost while staking, I suggest. Fire tokens finally shut up. Yeah, very nice to see those. If you lost any tokens while staking, I would suggest opening up a ticket. That's a particular issue that happened to some users that's uh, separate from having an empty wallet. So for an empty wallet, definitely click this claim now button. Um, if you still don't see it after clicking the claim now, that's very strange. I haven't had many people actually report that they lost money from their wallet, more so that they lost money from the staking thing. So I would say, honestly, if that's an issue and it's persistent after doing these steps, maybe try opening up a ticket in the Discord, and I'll kind of look at it a bit closer after the webinar's over. So let's just go back to sharing the task template here. Go back to EZSandbox. And the last thing we want to go over is building this web crawler. Now, I can't go over building an entire web crawler uh, in the short amount of time we have here, unfortunately, but I can go over just uh, the high level of what's going on. So the login helper, the Koii task X, the simple crawler we have in here are basically all using these same principles. You're going to call, uh, there's some notes, but basically you're going to have a target web page. You're going to check and store the data in a local database. You're going to upload that data list to IPFS. It's going to return a CID, and you're going to submit that CID. Headless mode. Just a great idea to run Puppeteer in headless mode, because that way it's not going to bother your users by launching up a browser every time, a browser window every time you want to use Puppeteer. So go into headless mode and make sure that you're not really annoying your users, you're not pestering them. Of course, if you're testing, you can turn headless mode. You can kind of swap it so that you can actually see what Puppeteer is doing. Environment variables, again, you want to have some task variables for logging in. You want to make sure that the account's verified. Most of the time, 2FA will sort of block you on a few fronts. And then building a crawler object. This is a great place to really learn and dive deep into exactly what's going on. Like again, simple page, open up your desired page away browser new page. Here's some agent, we're setting the user agent, so it's using Mozilla in this case. WebKit, Chrome, awesome. We have a URL. We're going to that URL, search for specified element. We're waiting for a selector that has that search keyword, and then we're using that search keyword, right, to search the term into the search bar. So submitting the search term, pressing enter. Pretty funny. I like that. Simple press of the enter button. Wait for selector, title is null, right? It's pretty basic stuff, nothing too complex, but at the same time, it can be overwhelming the first time you're looking at it. So make sure to read it closely and ask questions. And if you see something like, oh, I see, page $$ eval. What does that mean? Don't be afraid to search that up. Go to ChatGPT and ask for help. They're all valid resources. Here's how we're using the crawler object. Here's an example of audit, and here's an example of deployment. So I really hope that this kind of gives you guys the comfort to sort of step forward and say, hey, I definitely think I can start developing a task now. Super easy. I just have to grab this login template, and then I can basically get going right off the bat. And if I want to make my own token, I just need to grab, these two lines of right here, and just pop them in, and you'll be good to go. Sweet. So just before we end out here, I'll go back to the questions a bit deeper. I know I missed some, and we'll take them one step at a time. If we initially created a token to be Koii, can we change that to KPL? Yes, you can. You can. So is there a way to show this? Let's say that you had the task bounty type. It was Koii. You wanted to switch it to KPL. Make sure that you get the right minting address, and then it's going to start rewarding in that token. So that means the existing Koii bounty that was left on that task will remain. The task will no longer dole out those rewards, or at least it shouldn't. If it does, being a bug, you can report, but it shouldn't. You'll be able to use the CLI to drain the Koii from the wallet if you want. And then what it should start doing is the task will create its own wallet. It'll take the appropriate amount of tokens that you minted, and then yeah, it should automatically update. And when you open the desktop node, I'll stop sharing and share. You should start seeing that. Sorry, I'm in a very testy version of this. Of the Koii node, but in concept, you'll see in your available balance that some things are starting to flow through, and your rewards will actually start populating out as different reward types. Back. Nick wants to have a chat after, for sure, for sure. Dylan is on the latest version. It seems weird that I can run tasks, but there's no Koii showing up in my state. Total state. That is right. So there is an issue going on with staked right now. We're trying to fix it. Let's see. Let's experiment while we're here. Let's take this task and let's unstake it for a second. In concept, this should start going up as you start staking from the update forward. We're still working to actually pull in your previously amount staked. So there is that issue. Yeah, staking has some bugs right now that we're definitely trying to sort through. Right, let's add some stake. Let's add 2 Koii. See if that goes up. Yeah, Dylan, definitely recommend going to settings and clicking claim free tokens. If not, try going into the Discord community and opening up a ticket, and we'll look into that for you. Interesting. So adding stake is definitely taking longer than I expected. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that should have gone up. Maybe I need a reset. Sure. Yeah. So we've just managed to sort of find a bug here, but we'll sort through that one. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording here. I think this was great. I guess sorry that I kind of dragged on into and looking at bugs on the desktop node. But just before I leave everyone, what I want to recommend is that everybody join the Discord. We have a new Discord community. We have the hackathon section. I'd really love to see if everybody went to the developer section right now and just like posted something, said, hey, hello, just, create some lively chat, start asking some questions. We'd love to see some more engagement in there. If you're a hackathon person, please see dev announcements and you'll be able to find the hack pack there. Let me go over that right quick. Just to show you, right now we have the hack pack for the Koii Relation hack. All the information you need on submission and guidelines should be here. You should be able to navigate through everything. So if you want a sneak peek, if you want to get ahead of the game, now is definitely the best time.